In this chapter, titled Live in Day-Tight Compartments, the author shares the story of Sir William Osier, a renowned physician, and his approach to living a worry-free life. Osier's success and wisdom were attributed to his ability to focus on the present and manage his concerns effectively. He compared life to a ship with watertight compartments and encouraged living in day-tight compartments to ensure safety on life's voyage. The author emphasizes the importance of concentrating on today's tasks and not allowing worries about the past or future to consume one's thoughts. He also provides examples of individuals who found peace and success by adopting this mindset. Ultimately, the chapter highlights the value of living in the present and making the most of each day. Chapter 2 of the book discusses Willis H. Carrier's effective technique for handling worry situations. This method has 3 simple steps. 1. Analyze the situation. Begin by fearlessly and honestly assessing the situation. Determine the worst possible outcome of the problem or failure. Recognize that certain consequences, like going to jail or being physically harmed, are highly unlikely. 2. Mentally accept the worst. Once you identify the worst-case scenario, mentally prepare yourself to accept it if it becomes necessary. In most cases, the worst outcome is not as catastrophic as initially feared, and accepting it can bring a sense of relief. 3. Focus on improvement. After mentally accepting the worst, shift your energy and attention toward finding ways to improve upon the situation you've accepted. Concentrate on problem solving and making the best of the circumstances. This approach, as described by Willis H. Carrier, helps individuals break free from the cloud of worry, regain a sense of control, and channel their energy into constructive problem solving. It's based on the idea that by accepting the worst, one can eliminate vague imaginings and concentrate better on finding solutions. The chapter also provides real-life examples of people who successfully applied this technique to overcome their worries and challenges. Chapter 3 of the book discusses the harmful effects of worry on one's health and well-being. It highlights the prevalence of worry-related illnesses such as nervous breakdowns, stomach ulcers, heart disease, and even mental health issues like anxiety and depression. The chapter emphasizes the importance of addressing worry and stress to maintain good health and quality of life. It also provides some rules to help readers avoid excessive worry, including living in the present, preparing for the worst, and understanding the high cost of worry on one's health. In Chapter 4 of How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie, the author emphasizes the importance of analyzing and solving worry problems through a 3-step process. 1. Get the facts. This step involves collecting all relevant information about the problem. Dean Hawkes, a Columbia University dean, stressed the significance of having sufficient knowledge before attempting to make decisions, as half the world's worries stem from attempting to decide without adequate information. 2. Analyze the facts. After gathering the facts, it's crucial to objectively examine and interpret them. Carnegie suggests that writing down the facts can significantly aid in the analysis process, helping to clarify thinking and uncover potential solutions. 3. Arrive at a decision and take action. Once the facts are analyzed, a clear decision should be made. William James advised not to obsessively worry about the outcome once a decision is reached. Instead, take action and avoid second-guessing. Carnegie illustrates this approach with the example of Galen Litchfield, a successful businessman who found himself facing a life-threatening situation during World War II in Shanghai. He used this 3-step process to calmly decide his course of action, which ultimately saved his life. In summary, Carnegie advocates for a systematic approach to solving worries by acquiring facts, analyzing them objectively, and decisively taking action. This method, as exemplified by Galen Litchfield's experience, can be highly effective in reducing worry and achieving successful outcomes. Chapter 5 of How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie is about eliminating business worries. The chapter offers practical advice and real-life examples of individuals who have successfully reduced their business-related stress and increased efficiency. Key takeaways from the chapter include: 1. Analyzing business worries. The chapter begins by acknowledging the skepticism some readers may have about eliminating 50% of their business worries. Carnegie clarifies that the book aims to provide practical strategies and examples to help readers achieve this goal. 2. Real-life examples. Carnegie shares the experiences of 2 individuals, Leon Shimkin and Frank Betcher, who significantly reduced their business worries using simple techniques. These examples illustrate how practical approaches can lead to substantial improvements. 3. 4 questions to address problems. Carnegie introduces a set of 4 questions that can help individuals analyze and solve business problems effectively. These questions are: A. What is the problem? D. What is the cause of the problem? C. What are all possible solutions to the problem? D. What solution do you suggest? 4. Constant learning and review. Carnegie emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and review to master the principles outlined in the book. He suggests revisiting the book regularly, marking important sections, and applying the principles in daily life. 5. Forming new habits. Learning to stop worrying and start living involves forming new habits. Carnegie encourages readers to apply the book's principles consistently and recognize that it takes time and persistence to develop these habits. 6. Keeping a diary. Keeping a diary to record progress, successes, and lessons learned is recommended. This diary can serve as a motivating tool and a source of inspiration in the future. 7. Offering incentives. Carnegie humorously suggests offering rewards to friends or family members who catch you violating the principles discussed in the book, making it a fun and engaging process. In a nutshell, the chapter provides practical guidance on reducing business worries and improving one's ability to handle workplace challenges. It emphasizes the importance of continuous learning, consistent application of principles, and the use of real-life examples to inspire positive change. Additionally, it offers suggestions for keeping track of progress and staying motivated. In Part 3, How to Break the Worry Habit Before It Breaks You, Chapter 6, How to Crowd Worry Out of Your Mind, the author shares various anecdotes and insights on dealing with worry and anxiety. One key strategy discussed is the importance of keeping busy to combat worry. Several real-life examples illustrate how engaging and productive, mentally stimulating activities can help alleviate anxiety. The author emphasizes that staying occupied not only distracts the mind from worries but also generates a sense of purpose and satisfaction. The message is clear: to break the worry habit, Rule 1 is to keep busy and find constructive activities to fill your time and mind. In Chapter 7, titled Don't Let the Beatles Get You Down, the author shares a dramatic story told by Robert Moore, who learned a significant life lesson during his experience on a submarine during World War II. Moore's submarine faced a perilous situation when a Japanese minelayer attacked it with depth charges. For 15 terrifying hours, they endured this attack, and Moore's perspective on life shifted dramatically during this time. Moore reflected on how he used to worry about trivial matters like his job, financial issues, and small conflicts with his wife. However, in the face of potential death, these worries seemed utterly insignificant. He made a promise to himself that if he survived, he would never worry about trivial matters again. This experience taught him more about life than years of studying books. The chapter also discusses how people often get caught up in trivial matters and allow them to affect their peace of mind. Examples are given, such as historical figures who worried about small physical discomforts or trivial issues. The chapter emphasizes the importance of not allowing oneself to be upset by small things and to focus on more significant and worthwhile aspects of life. It encourages readers to remember that life is too short to belittle and to avoid letting small worries control their emotional state. In Chapter 8, the author recalls his childhood worries and how many of them were unfounded. He shares a personal story of fearing being buried alive as a child and various other irrational fears, such as lightning strikes and hell. He emphasizes that as he grew older, he realized that the majority of things he worried about never actually happened. The author discusses the concept of the law of averages and how it can help alleviate worries. He gives examples of people who learned to conquer their worries by examining the statistical likelihood of negative events occurring. For instance, he mentions how an insurance company like Lloyd's of London thrives on betting against unlikely disasters happening, and yet they rarely occur. The chapter provides anecdotes of individuals who overcame their worries by analyzing the facts and figures related to their concerns. It highlights the importance of looking at the historical record and considering the odds before giving in to irrational fears. Rule 3 for breaking the worry habit is summarized as, let's examine the record. It encourages people to assess the likelihood of their worries coming true based on the law of averages and historical data. Chapter 9 of the book discusses the importance of accepting and cooperating with the inevitable aspects of life. It begins with personal anecdotes about accidents and losses, highlighting how individuals can quickly adapt to challenging situations if they accept them as unavoidable. The chapter emphasizes that our reactions to circumstances, rather than the circumstances themselves, determine our happiness or unhappiness. The author cites examples of individuals who faced adversity with acceptance and resilience. These include Sarah Bernhardt, who remained optimistic even after losing a leg, and soldiers who learned to cope with fear during wartime. The central message of the chapter is to encourage readers to accept circumstances they cannot change and focus on what they can control, ultimately freeing themselves from worry and leading happier lives. The chapter also includes a powerful prayer by Dr. Reinhold Niebuhr that emphasizes the importance of accepting the unchangeable while striving to change what is possible. In Chapter 10 of the book, the author shares a story about the importance of setting stop-loss orders not only in the stock market but also in life. The story is about Charles Roberts, who initially lost a significant amount of money in the stock market but then learned a valuable lesson from a successful speculator named Burton S. Cassels. Cassels emphasized the importance of placing stop-loss orders on market commitments to limit losses and make consistent profits. Roberts applied this principle not just in the stock market but also in his personal life, where he would set stop-loss orders on annoyances, resentments, and worries. This approach helped him maintain his peace of mind and reduce unnecessary stress. The author reflects on missed opportunities to apply this principle in his own life. The chapter also includes anecdotes about famous historical figures, such as Abraham Lincoln and Benjamin Franklin, who understood the significance of not holding grudges or overvaluing things that caused them distress. Additionally, Leo Tolstoy's troubled marriage is mentioned as an example of the negative consequences of not setting stop-loss orders on personal conflicts. The key takeaway from this chapter is the importance of having a clear sense of values and setting limits on worries and problems in life to achieve true peace of mind. The author presents 3 questions to ask oneself when facing worries. 1. How much does this matter to me? 2. At what point should I set a limit on this worry? 3. Have I already invested more in this concern than it is worth? In summary, the chapter emphasizes the value of setting limits and not letting worries and conflicts consume one's life, both in financial investments and personal relationships. Chapter 11, titled Don't Try to Saw Sawdust, emphasizes the futility of dwelling on past mistakes or events that cannot be changed. The author uses various anecdotes and examples to illustrate the importance of moving forward and not letting past worries consume one's thoughts. He mentions a personal financial loss and how he struggled with worry instead of learning from the mistake. The chapter also mentions the valuable lesson of not crying over spilled milk, which emphasizes the importance of letting go of past mistakes and focusing on the future. The author shares stories of individuals who faced setbacks and losses, but chose to accept them, move forward, and find happiness and success in other endeavors. The author emphasizes that worrying about the past is pointless because it cannot be altered. Instead, people should concentrate on constructive actions for the future. The key message is to stop ruminating on past mistakes and focus on living a happy and productive life in the present. At the end of the chapter, the author provides a summary of the rules presented in the book so far, which aim to help readers break the habit of worrying and lead a more fulfilling life. In summary, Chapter 11 advises against dwelling on past mistakes and events that cannot be changed, encouraging readers to move forward and focus on constructive actions in the present. The passage discusses the importance of our mental attitude in shaping our lives and emphasizes the power of positive thinking. It highlights the idea that our thoughts have a profound impact on our well-being and can determine our destiny. The passage provides examples of individuals who transform their lives through a change in mental attitude and stresses the need to choose the right thoughts to solve problems effectively. The passage also presents the concept that by changing our actions and behaviors to reflect a cheerful and positive attitude, we can influence our feelings and emotions. It includes a program called Just for Today that offers guidelines for maintaining a positive mental attitude, such as being happy, adapting to circumstances, taking care of one's body and mind, doing good deeds, and living in the present moment. Overall, the passage encourages readers to recognize the power of their thoughts and to proactively cultivate a positive mental attitude to attain happiness and peace in life. Chapter 13 of the book discusses the negative consequences of seeking revenge or holding on to hatred. The author shares various anecdotes and quotes to illustrate the damaging effects of resentment and the benefits of forgiveness. The central message is that harboring hatred not only affects one's emotional well-being but can also have detrimental effects on physical health. Examples are provided, such as the impact of anger on heart attacks. The author emphasizes the importance of forgiving one's enemies, even if complete love is challenging, as it is ultimately for one's own benefit. The text also includes stories of individuals who practiced forgiveness and reaped positive results, such as George Rona, who turned a potentially hostile situation into a job opportunity through a gracious response. The chapter cites historical figures like Confucius, General Eisenhower, and Bernard Baruch, who advocated for letting go of resentment and anger. It also mentions the inspiring story of Edith Cavell, a nurse who faced death without hatred, and how dedicating oneself to a greater cause can help overcome personal enmities. The chapter concludes by highlighting the story of Lawrence Jones, a colored teacher and preacher facing lynching during the First World War. It suggests that focusing on a larger purpose can help individuals rise above hatred and enmity. Fight, armor, enough. Galloping off into the night, these excited young men recruited a mob, returned to the church, put a rope round the preacher, dragged him for a mile up the road, stood him on a heap of faggots, lighted matches, and were ready to hang him and burn him at the same time, when someone shouted, "Let's make the blankety blank blank talk before he burns." Speech, speech. Lawrence Jones, standing on the faggots, spoke with a rope around his neck, spoke for his life and his cause. He had been graduated from the University of Iowa in 1907. His sterling character, his scholarship, and his musical ability had made him popular with both the students and the faculty. Upon graduation, he had turned down the offer of a hotel man to set him up in business, and had turned down the offer of a wealthy man to finance his musical education. Why? Because he was on fire with a vision. Reading the story of Booker T. Washington's life, he had been inspired to devote his own life to educating the poverty-stricken, illiterate members of his race. So he went to the most backward belt he could find in the South, a spot 25 miles south of Jackson, Mississippi. Pawning his watch for $1.65, he started his school in the open woods with a stump for a desk. Lawrence Jones told these angry men who were waiting to lynch him of the struggle he had had to educate these unschooled boys and girls and to train them to be good farmers, mechanics, cooks, housekeepers. He told of the white men who had helped him in his struggle to establish Piney Woods Country School, white men who had given him land, lumber, and pigs, cows, and money to help him carry on his educational work. In this passage, the author recounts the story of Lawrence Jones, a colored teacher and preacher who faced a lynching threat during the First World War. When asked if he hated the men who wanted to harm him, Jones responded that he was too preoccupied with his larger cause to harbor hatred. His focus on his mission and forgiveness softened the hearts of the mob, leading them to contribute to his cause. The passage also highlights the wisdom of ancient philosophers like Epictetus, who emphasized that we ultimately pay for our actions and should avoid anger and hatred. It references Abraham Lincoln's ability to rise above personal feelings and make decisions based on merit rather than personal bias. The author encourages readers to follow the example of forgiveness and understanding, even toward enemies. The passage ends with a reminder of the value of love and forgiveness, quoting the biblical teaching to love your enemies, bless them that curse you, and urging readers to cultivate an attitude that promotes inner peace and happiness. The central message is to avoid seeking revenge and instead focus on empathy, forgiveness, and understanding as a path to personal peace and contentment. In this chapter, the author discusses the common issue of ingratitude and provides advice on how to avoid worrying about it. The chapter begins with the story of a businessman who gave generous Christmas bonuses to his employees, but received no thanks from them. The author emphasizes that expecting gratitude from others is often unrealistic and can lead to disappointment and resentment. The author argues that ingratitude is a natural human tendency, and that instead of dwelling on it, individuals should focus on giving for the joy of giving. He shares examples of people who gave selflessly without expecting gratitude and found happiness in the act of giving itself. The chapter also highlights the role of parents in teaching gratitude to their children. The author suggests that parents should set an example by being grateful themselves and by praising and appreciating acts of kindness. The chapter concludes with 3 rules to avoid worrying about ingratitude. Expect ingratitude and don't be surprised by it. B. Find happiness in the act of giving without expecting gratitude in return. C. Cultivate gratitude in children by teaching them to appreciate and express thanks. Overall, the chapter encourages readers to shift their focus away from expecting gratitude from others and instead find contentment in the act of giving and nurturing gratitude in themselves and their children. In this chapter, the author shares stories and wisdom about finding happiness and contentment by focusing on the positive aspects of life and appreciating what one has rather than worrying about what is lacking. The chapter begins with the story of Harold Abbott, who learned to overcome his worries after encountering a man with no legs who was cheerful and confident. This encounter made Abbott realize how rich he was to have 2 legs and the ability to walk, and he gained the courage to ask for a loan and seek a job. The author emphasizes that most of what happens in life is right, and only a small percentage is wrong. To be happy, one should concentrate on the positive aspects and ignore the negative ones. The author encourages readers to develop a habit of counting their blessings every morning, appreciating their health, family, and the simple joys in life. He shares the story of Lucille Blake, who, after facing a health crisis, learned to value life more and count her blessings daily. The chapter also mentions historical figures like Dr. Samuel Johnson and Jonathan Swift, who recognized the importance of maintaining a positive outlook on life. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the idea that happiness comes from appreciating what one has and not dwelling on what one lacks. The rule presented is, count your blessings, not your troubles. Overall, the chapter highlights the importance of gratitude and a positive mindset in finding happiness and reducing worries in life. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of being true to oneself and not trying to imitate others. He shares the story of Mrs. Edith Allred, who struggled with shyness and a desire to fit in with others, leading to unhappiness and even thoughts of suicide. However, a chance remark from her mother-in-law, who emphasized the importance of being oneself, transformed Mrs. Allred's life. She learned to embrace her unique qualities and found happiness by being authentic. The chapter discusses how the desire to be someone else is a common problem that can lead to various issues, including neuroses, psychoses, and complexes. The author provides examples from the entertainment industry, such as Hollywood actors and directors, who often face the pressure to conform to certain images or personas, which can hinder their success. The author highlights the importance of authenticity in various aspects of life, from job interviews to creative endeavors. He suggests that people often make the mistake of trying to be what they think others want them to be, instead of being themselves. Several examples of individuals who found success by embracing their unique qualities are presented, including Cass Daley, a singer with unconventional features, and famous composers like George Gershwin. The chapter concludes by urging readers to recognize their individuality and not to waste time trying to be like others. It encourages them to be themselves and make the most of their unique qualities, talents, and experiences. The rule presented in this chapter is, let's not imitate others. Let's find ourselves and be ourselves. Chapter 17 of the book emphasizes the importance of a positive attitude when faced with adversity. The author shares the wisdom of turning life's challenges and setbacks into opportunities for growth and improvement. Just as when you have a lemon, you should make lemonade. The chapter highlights how wise individuals react to difficult situations by seeking lessons and ways to improve their circumstances, while those who give in to self-pity and despair do the opposite. The author shares the story of Thelma Thompson, who turned a miserable experience living in a harsh desert environment into an exciting adventure through a change in her attitude. She learned to appreciate the unique aspects of her surroundings and even wrote a book about her experiences. This story illustrates the power of changing one's perspective and finding the positive in any situation. The chapter also mentions the ability of many successful individuals to turn their disadvantages into advantages. Examples include Al Smith, who transformed himself from a local politician into a national figure through dedicated self-education, and Ben Fortson, who found a new purpose in life after losing the use of his legs. The author argues that challenges and setbacks can often lead to personal growth and achievement, citing examples like Milton's blindness and Beethoven's deafness as factors that may have contributed to their greatness. He encourages readers to view adversity as an opportunity for personal development and to embrace a positive attitude when facing life's lemons. The chapter concludes by suggesting that even if one does not succeed in turning a negative situation into a positive one, the effort to do so can lead to personal growth, a forward-looking mindset, and a creative release of energy. The rule presented in this chapter is, when fate hands us a lemon, let's try to make a lemonade. Chapter 18 of the book discusses the importance of cultivating a mental attitude focused on peace and happiness. The author emphasizes the following key points. 1. The chapter begins with the author's contest for the most inspiring story on conquering worry. 2. It shares the story of C.R. Burton, who faced numerous hardships in his early life, including losing his parents and living with various families. Burton found happiness and acceptance by helping others and putting their needs before his own. 3. The chapter highlights the idea that helping others can be a powerful way to conquer worry and find happiness. It mentions the case of Dr. Frank Loop, who, despite being an invalid, brought joy to others by writing letters and organizing a shut-in society. 4. The author discusses the teachings of Alfred Adler, a psychiatrist, who suggested that one could be cured of melancholia by thinking every day about how to please someone else. 5. Various anecdotes are presented to illustrate how getting interested in others, being a good listener, and helping those less fortunate can lead to personal happiness. 6. The chapter encourages readers to take an interest in people they meet every day, such as the postman, grocery boy, or newspaper vendor, and to make connections with them by showing genuine care and attention. 7. It highlights that by focusing on others, individuals can find greater happiness, satisfaction, and pride in themselves. 8. The chapter also touches on the idea of enlightened selfishness and quotes various philosophers and thinkers who stress the importance of helping others for personal well-being. 9. It concludes with a reminder that happiness can be found by creating joy for others and forgetting one's own worries. In summary, Chapter 18 emphasizes the power of selflessness, kindness, and helping others as a means to conquer worry and find peace and happiness in life. It provides various real-life examples and philosophical perspectives to support this idea. Part 5 of the book explores the idea of conquering worry through faith and prayer. It shares personal stories of individuals who found solace and strength through religious faith and prayer during difficult times. One story is about a book salesman, John R. Anthony, who turned to God in a moment of desperation and found renewed courage and success in his work. Another story is about Mrs. L. G. Beard, who faced a medical crisis with her son and found peace by surrendering to God's will through prayer. The section emphasizes the power of faith and prayer to provide comfort, strength, and a sense of purpose, suggesting that turning to a higher power can help individuals overcome worry and adversity in their lives. It also touches on the idea that religion can provide spiritual values, faith, hope, and courage, ultimately improving one's overall well-being. This passage highlights the practice of prayer among well-known individuals, including famous athletes, leaders, and ordinary people. They share their experiences of how prayer has positively impacted their lives. The passage also discusses the therapeutic and psychological benefits of prayer, emphasizing how it helps people articulate their problems, feel a sense of support, and take meaningful action. Ultimately, the passage encourages individuals, whether religious or not, to consider prayer as a practical and powerful tool for addressing life's challenges and finding inner peace. This passage discusses the phenomenon of unjust criticism and how it often stems from jealousy and the desire for attention. It provides several historical examples, such as the criticism faced by Robert Hutchins when he became president of the University of Chicago at a young age, and the unjust denunciations of figures like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Admiral Peary. The passage suggests that unjust criticism can be seen as a form of recognition and advises readers to remember that it often indicates their accomplishments and importance. It also emphasizes that unjust criticism is not a new phenomenon and has affected even renowned individuals like General U.S. Grant. The main takeaway is to not be overly concerned with unjust criticism, as it may actually signify one's significance and achievements. In this chapter, the author discusses the importance of not letting unjust criticism affect one's peace of mind and well-being. The author shares anecdotes about individuals who faced criticism, such as Major General Smedley Butler and Eleanor Roosevelt, and how they handled it. The central idea is to emphasize that unjust criticism is inevitable, and that one should focus on doing their best rather than being overly concerned with what others say. The author suggests that adopting a mindset of resilience and humor, like Deems Taylor and Charles Schwab, can help in dealing with criticism effectively. The chapter concludes with a quote from Abraham Lincoln, highlighting the futility of trying to address all criticism and the importance of staying true to one's efforts. The key takeaway is to do one's best and not let unjust criticism disturb one's peace of mind. Chapter 22 of Dale Carnegie's book discusses the concept of self-criticism and personal growth. The author shares his practice of maintaining a folder labeled FTD in which he records his own foolish actions and self-criticisms. He reflects on how most of his misfortunes are ultimately his own fault, emphasizing the importance of taking responsibility for one's actions. The chapter also provides examples of individuals like H.P. Howell and Ben Franklin, who practiced self-appraisal and self-improvement. It highlights the value of being one's own most severe critic and learning from one's mistakes. The author suggests that accepting criticism, especially when it is sincere and helpful, can lead to personal growth. The chapter concludes with the idea that instead of waiting for others to criticize us, we should beat them to it by being our own critic. The author recommends embracing criticism as a means of improvement and learning. It encourages readers to adopt a mindset of self-awareness and continual self-improvement. In summary, the chapter emphasizes the importance of self-criticism, personal growth, and learning from one's mistakes. It suggests that embracing criticism, whether from oneself or others, can lead to self-improvement and a more fulfilling life. Chapter 23 of Dale Carnegie's book discusses the importance of preventing fatigue and its connection to worry. The author emphasizes that fatigue can make individuals more susceptible to worry and various health issues. He introduces the idea that rest is crucial in preventing both fatigue and worry. The chapter provides several examples of successful individuals who attribute their vitality and productivity to regular rest. Winston Churchill, John D. Rockefeller, and Gene Autry are among those mentioned as practitioners of strategic rest. The author highlights that even short periods of rest, such as a 5-minute nap, can be effective in combating fatigue. Carnegie also suggests that frequent rest breaks can significantly enhance productivity. He shares the story of Frederick Taylor, who, through scientific management techniques, increased the efficiency of steelworkers by having them rest more frequently during their workday. This allowed workers to maintain higher levels of energy and productivity. The chapter concludes by emphasizing that resting before exhaustion sets in is essential for preventing both physical and mental fatigue. Carnegie suggests that adopting this practice can add an extra hour of vitality to one's daily life. In summary, Chapter 23 focuses on the importance of preventing fatigue through regular rest and its positive impact on reducing worry and enhancing productivity. The key message is to rest before exhaustion to maintain energy and well-being. Chapter 24 of Dale Carnegie's book discusses the reasons behind fatigue and how it is often linked to mental and emotional factors rather than physical exertion. The author highlights that the brain itself does not experience fatigue, and it can function effectively even after extended periods of mental work. Instead, emotional factors play a significant role in causing fatigue. Carnegie cites renowned psychiatrists who suggest that a large portion of fatigue is of mental origin, with emotional factors being the primary cause. He emphasizes that emotions like boredom, resentment, feeling unappreciated, anxiety, and worry are the key contributors to exhaustion in sedentary workers. These emotional factors create nervous tensions in the body, leading to fatigue. The author explains that people often produce unnecessary tension while doing mental work due to the mistaken belief that hard work requires effort and strain. However, he argues that these habits can be reversed by learning to relax. Carnegie encourages readers to start by relaxing their muscles, beginning with the eyes, and gradually working through the entire body. He highlights the importance of relaxing the muscles of the eyes, as they consume a significant portion of nervous energy. The chapter concludes with 5 suggestions for learning to relax effectively. 1. Read books on relaxation, such as Release from Nervous Tension by Dr. David Harold Fink. 2. Practice relaxation in spare moments, allowing the body to go limp like an old sock or a relaxed cat. 3. Work in a comfortable position to avoid unnecessary muscle tension. 4. Regularly check and correct muscle tension throughout the day. 5. Assess your level of tiredness at the end of the day and consider whether it's due to the way you've worked, emphasizing that efficient work should not leave you feeling overly tired. In summary, Chapter 24 explores the role of emotional factors in causing fatigue and advocates for the practice of relaxation to combat nervous tension and fatigue, leading to improved overall well-being and productivity. Chapter 25 discusses how housewives can avoid fatigue and maintain a youthful appearance. The chapter begins by introducing a psychological clinic at the Boston dispensary that helps people who suffer from various physical symptoms caused by worry and emotional distress. Many of these patients are housewives experiencing physical symptoms despite having no underlying physical ailments. The chapter emphasizes the therapeutic value of talking about one's worries and problems with a trusted person. It highlights that sharing one's concerns and receiving advice and understanding can alleviate emotional distress and reduce physical symptoms. Several practical suggestions for housewives to manage stress and worry are provided. 1. Maintain a scrapbook or notebook for inspirational reading, containing poems, prayers, and quotes that uplift the spirit during challenging times. 2. Avoid dwelling on the shortcomings of others, such as husbands, and instead focus on their positive qualities. 3. Develop an interest in and interact with neighbors to build a sense of community and connection. 4. Create a daily schedule in advance to better organize tasks, reduce stress, and achieve a sense of accomplishment. 5. Emphasize the importance of relaxation and stress reduction in maintaining a youthful appearance and overall well-being. It suggests lying down on the floor to relax, closing one's eyes, and engaging in positive visualization or prayer. 6. Practice muscle relaxation exercises, starting from the toes and progressing upward, gradually releasing muscle tension while repeating phrases like let go, let go. 7. Promote slow, steady breathing to calm the nerves and reduce anxiety. 8. Pay attention to facial expressions and smooth out wrinkles and frown lines consciously. In summary, Chapter 25 provides housewives with practical tips and exercises to reduce stress, worry, and physical symptoms, ultimately promoting better mental and physical health. Chapter 26 discusses 4 good working habits that can help prevent fatigue and worry. Good working habit No. 1. Clear your desk of all papers except those relating to the immediate problem at hand. This habit emphasizes the importance of maintaining a clutter-free and organized workspace. A cluttered desk can lead to confusion, tension, and worries. The chapter highlights that constantly seeing a desk filled with unanswered mail and reports can contribute to stress-related health issues. It encourages individuals to clear their desks and make prompt decisions. Good working habit No. 2. Do things in the order of their importance. This habit emphasizes prioritizing tasks based on their significance. It highlights the importance of thinking and planning one's day, especially in the early morning, to determine what tasks are most important. The chapter shares examples of successful individuals who attribute their achievements to this habit. Good working habit No. 3. When you face a problem, solve it then and there if you have the facts necessary to make a decision. Don't keep putting off decisions. This habit encourages decisiveness when encountering problems. It suggests that individuals should make decisions promptly if they have the necessary information. Procrastination and delay can lead to unresolved issues and increased worry. Good working habit No. 4. Learn to organize, deputize, and supervise. This habit emphasizes the importance of delegating responsibilities and not trying to handle everything personally. It acknowledges that learning to delegate can be challenging, but failing to do so can result in excessive stress, anxiety, and fatigue. It encourages executives to organize their tasks efficiently, delegate authority to the right people, and supervise effectively to avoid unnecessary worries. The chapter provides examples and anecdotes to illustrate the benefits of adopting these working habits, emphasizing their role in preventing stress-related health problems and promoting efficiency in business and personal life. Chapter 27 discusses the importance of banishing boredom to prevent fatigue, worry, and resentment. It provides several anecdotes and examples to illustrate how changing one's perspective and attitude towards a seemingly dull or uninteresting job can lead to increased energy, happiness, and better job performance. Key points from the chapter include: 1. Boredom and fatigue. The chapter starts by emphasizing that boredom is a significant cause of fatigue. It presents the example of Alice, a stenographer, who felt exhausted after a day of work but became lively and energetic when she received an invitation to a dance. This shift in energy highlights the role of emotional attitude in causing fatigue. 2. Boredom and physical effects. Dr. Joseph E. Barmack's experiments are mentioned to show that boredom can lead to physical effects such as tiredness, sleepiness, headaches, and irritability. Metabolism tests indicated that boredom decreases blood pressure and oxygen consumption, while interest and pleasure in work stimulate metabolism. 3. Interest and energy. The chapter underscores that interesting and exciting activities rarely result in fatigue. It provides an example of an individual who spent hours fishing but remained energetic because he enjoyed the activity. Boredom, even in physically demanding tasks like mountain climbing, can be more exhausting than the actual physical effort involved. 4. Work and worry. The chapter suggests that, for mental workers, it's often not the amount of work but rather worry, frustration, and resentment that lead to fatigue. Days filled with interruptions, missed appointments, and unresolved issues can be more exhausting than productive days. 5. Positive mental attitude. Maintaining a positive mental attitude and acting as if you enjoy your job can lead to real enjoyment and decreased fatigue. Examples of individuals who transformed their jobs by making them interesting are given, including a stenographer who turned a boring task into a competition with herself and a salesman who memorized a sales pitch in a foreign language. 6. Pep Talks. The chapter recommends giving yourself pep talks each day to infuse enthusiasm into your work. H.V. Kaltenborn's experience of selling stereopticon machines in France is cited as an example of how pep talks and a positive attitude turned a challenging job into an adventure. 7. Marcus Aurelius quote. The chapter concludes with a quote from Marcus Aurelius, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." It emphasizes the power of positive thinking and gratitude in finding happiness and interest in work. Overall, the chapter encourages readers to recognize the significance of their emotional attitude in combating fatigue, suggests methods to make work interesting, and underscores the importance of starting each day with a positive mindset. Chapter 28 of the book discusses how to prevent worrying about insomnia and provides tips for getting a good night's sleep. It starts with the story of Samuel Untermeyer, a successful lawyer who never slept well but used his wakefulness to his advantage. The chapter emphasizes that worrying about insomnia is often more harmful than the lack of sleep itself. The author discusses the variability in the amount of sleep individuals need and mentions cases like Paul Kern, a soldier who survived without sleep after a head injury. It's highlighted that worrying about insomnia can lead to more significant health issues. The chapter suggests ways to overcome insomnia, including finding a feeling of security, using relaxation techniques, and staying physically active. It also mentions the power of prayer and positive self-talk in promoting better sleep. The book concludes with a summary of 7 rules to prevent fatigue and worry and maintain high energy and spirits. 1. Rest before you get tired. 2. Learn to relax at your work. 3. If you are a housewife, protect your health and appearance by relaxing at home. 4. Apply good working habits, including organizing and prioritizing tasks. 5. Put enthusiasm into your work to prevent worry and fatigue. 6. Remember that no one was ever killed by lack of sleep. Worrying about insomnia does more damage. 7. Emphasize the importance of relaxation and maintaining a sense of security to improve sleep quality. Chapter 29 of the book addresses young individuals who are yet to decide on their future careers, emphasizing the importance of these decisions. The chapter discusses the 2 crucial decisions young people need to make. 1. How to make a living. It covers the significance of choosing a career path that aligns with one's interests and passions. The chapter emphasizes the importance of enjoying one's work, citing successful individuals like Thomas Edison and Charles Schwab, who found their work enjoyable, making it seem more like play. 2. Selecting a life partner. The chapter briefly touches on the importance of choosing the right life partner, as this decision can significantly impact one's happiness and future. The author points out that these decisions are often gambles, and individuals must reduce the gamble by selecting work they enjoy and seeking vocational guidance. The chapter provides guidance on finding a suitable vocational counselor and stresses the importance of getting advice from experienced individuals in the chosen field. It warns against entering overcrowded professions and advises against joining fields with low chances of success. The chapter also encourages individuals to spend time researching their chosen career and offers suggestions on how to conduct interviews with professionals to gather insights and make informed decisions. Finally, the chapter dispels the belief that individuals are suited for only one occupation and encourages exploring multiple career options before making a decision. It emphasizes that every person can succeed in various occupations and should choose one that aligns with their interests and abilities. In Chapter 30 of the book, titled 70% of All Our Worries, the author discusses the significance of financial worries and offers practical advice to alleviate them. According to surveys, a significant portion of people's concerns, around 70%, revolves around money. The chapter highlights the misconception that earning more money will automatically eliminate financial worries, emphasizing that it's often not about the amount of income, but how it's managed. The author shares insights from experts, such as Mrs. Elsie Stapleton, who suggests that many financial worries stem from a lack of knowledge on how to spend money wisely. The chapter encourages readers to develop a budgeting plan, citing examples of individuals who mismanage their finances despite earning more. 11 rules are provided to help readers manage their finances better. 1. Get the facts down on paper. Keep a record of your expenses to understand where your money is going. 2. Get a tailor-made budget. Customize your budget to your specific needs and seek advice if necessary. 3. Learn how to spend wisely. Aim to get the best value for your money. 4. Don't increase your headaches with your income. Be cautious about overspending when your income increases. 5. Try to build credit. Maintain good credit for potential borrowing needs. 6. Protect yourself against illness, fire, and emergency expenses. Invest in insurance to cover unexpected costs. 7. Do not have your life insurance proceeds paid to your widow in cash. Consider securing your family's financial future through annuities or structured payments. 8. Teach your children a responsible attitude toward money. Educate your children about financial responsibility. 9. If necessary, make a little extra money off your kitchen stove. Explore opportunities to generate additional income, even from home. 10. Don't gamble ever. Avoid risky financial behaviors like gambling. 11. If you can't improve your financial situation, be good to yourself and stop resenting what can't be changed. Practice acceptance and positivity regarding your financial circumstances. These rules aim to help individuals better manage their finances, reduce worries, and improve their overall financial well-being. Part 10. How I Conquered Worry comprises stories from different individuals on how they tackled their worries. Each story highlights unique approaches. 1. 6 major troubles hit me all at once. The author faced 6 significant worries but later realized they didn't materialize, teaching him the futility of fretting over potential future problems. 2. I can turn myself into a shouting optimist within an hour. Babson combated worry by reading history books, gaining perspective on humanity's enduring struggles, and finding optimism in the face of challenges. 3. How I Got Rid of an Inferiority Complex. Elmer Thomas shared his journey from being a self-conscious teenager to becoming a United States Senator, emphasizing the importance of overcoming personal doubts. 4. I Lived in the Garden of Allah. The author spent 7 years in the Sahara Desert with the Arabs, adopting their fatalistic mindset and finding contentment in simplicity, offering an alternative perspective on conquering worry. 5. 5 Methods I Use to Banish Worry. Professor Phelps outlined 5 techniques for banishing worry, including enthusiasm, absorbing reading, physical activity, relaxation, and gaining perspective on troubles. These stories provide diverse strategies and viewpoints on managing worries and achieving peace of mind. The common principle in all these stories is the idea of confronting and overcoming worry through various strategies. 1. Facing reality and acceptance. In Homer Croy's story, he faced financial ruin during the Great Depression but eventually overcame it by accepting his situation and deciding to move forward. 2. Positive thinking and mental conditioning. Jack Dempsey combated worry by practicing positive self-talk and affirmations during his boxing matches to boost his confidence and courage. 3. Prayer and faith. Kathleen Halter prayed to God to avoid going to an orphan's home as a child. Her faith helped her find the strength to care for her injured brother later in life and stay resilient. 4. Changing perspective. Cameron Shipp learned not to take himself too seriously, which allowed him to cope with stress more effectively. He stopped worrying and began laughing at his own worries. 5. Keeping busy and distraction. Reverend William Wood learned to keep himself busy with hobbies and activities, which prevented him from worrying excessively about his life and health. 6. Time is a solution. Louis T. Montant Jr. learned to give time a chance to solve problems. He would write down his worries and revisit them later to see if they still held the same weight. Most often, they didn't. 7. Accepting the worst and letting go. Joseph L. Ryan faced a severe health crisis and the possibility of imminent death. He found peace and recovery by accepting the worst-case scenario and deciding to improve upon it. In essence, these stories emphasize the importance of adopting a proactive and positive mindset, finding distractions or constructive activities to keep busy, having faith in something greater, and accepting the worst-case scenario when facing worries. These approaches helped individuals overcome their challenges and worries. And I Am a Great Dismisser by Ordway Teed. The author discusses how he avoids worrying through 3 main strategies. He keeps himself busy with multiple responsibilities. He practices dismissing thoughts about problems when transitioning between tasks, and he has learned to leave work-related concerns at the office to protect his health and ability to cope. And If I Had Not Stopped Worrying, I Would Have Been in My Grave Long Ago by Connie Mack. The author shares his personal experiences in professional baseball and how he used to worry about his performance and team results. He outlines 6 ways he overcame worry, recognizing the futility of worry, realizing its negative impact on health, staying focused on future goals, delaying criticism of players after a loss, inspiring players with praise, and prioritizing rest. In One at a Time, Gentlemen, One at a Time by John Homer Miller, the author discusses his approach to dealing with worries by changing his mental attitude toward them. He explains that he avoids fretting over problems until they are at least a week old, allowing time to either solve them or reduce their impact. He also shares the influence of Sir William Osler's philosophy on his outlook and the importance of taking troubles one at a time. In I Now Look for the Green Light by Joseph M. Cotter, the author describes how he transformed his life by adopting a 24-hour perspective. He learned to focus on today, make the most of each day's opportunities, and avoid worrying about the past or future. He likens his approach to the green light of a signal system, only focusing on the immediate task at hand. In How John D. Rockefeller Lived on Borrowed Time for 45 Years, the author narrates John D. Rockefeller Sr.'s life and how it was initially consumed by worry and high-pressure living. Rockefeller's relentless pursuit of wealth led to serious health issues. However, after retiring, he began giving away his fortune, which not only improved his happiness but also contributed to advancements in medical research and disease prevention. In reading a book on sex prevented my marriage from going on the rocks by B.R.W., the author reflects on the initial struggles in their marriage, marked by disappointment and unhappiness. They found a book on sexual relationships, which they initially resisted but eventually read. The book transformed their marriage, turning it into a happy and blissful companionship. The author emphasizes the importance of educating couples about sexual relationships to prevent marital problems. These summaries highlight the various approaches and strategies individuals have used to overcome worry and improve their overall well-being and relationships. The first passage by Paul Sampson describes a personal journey from a fast-paced, stressed-out life to a more relaxed and enjoyable one. Paul used to rush through life, always tense and exhausted. After consulting with a nerve specialist, he learned the importance of relaxation and consciously practiced it in various aspects of his life. This change led to a more pleasant and worry-free life, free from nervous fatigue. The second passage by Mrs. John Berger tells the story of her struggle with worry, which had a severe impact on her mental and physical health. With her mother's encouragement and her own determination, she decided to fight back, focus on her family and home, and gradually found joy and well-being in life again. The third passage by Ferenc Molnar recounts how the author's father advised him that work is the best way to deal with sorrow and escape from destructive habits like alcohol. This advice has guided the author throughout his life, helping him overcome difficult moments and establish a productive work ethic. The fourth passage by Catherine Holcomb Farmer describes her intense worry and its debilitating effects on her health. After discovering a book that offered practical principles for managing worry and anxiety, she applied them to her life and experienced a transformation. She learned to accept what she couldn't change, focus on problem solving, and embrace a new and glorious way of life. Overall, these passages emphasize the importance of relaxation, facing life's challenges, working diligently, and finding effective strategies to manage worry and anxiety to lead healthier and more fulfilling lives.